Hey guys, it's Mindark. If you watched my playthrough of Hatoful Boyfriend, you will know that we obtained two endings. Ending 12, showing the romance between Azami and Rabu, otherwise known as Hosakawa Blaster. Then we obtained Ending 1, showing the romance between the protagonist and Ryota. With the game beaten in just over an hour, I wondered what I missed, if anything, by not following the other available paths. Why were the brothers Sakuya and Yuuya fighting? Why did the doctor seem creepy as hell? Was our teacher actually hitting on us? And what's the deal with the ID card of a possibly missing student? In this video I'm going to explore 4 separate paths, though 2 of them are very short. The first path we are going to take will have us pursue Sakuya rather than Ryota. Sakuya was the stuck-up rich kid who didn't know what fun was and made himself vice president of the student council. Our only real interaction with him was when we were forced to be vice president and had him help us clean up the student council room. Now in this next playthrough we have the amazing option of using a fast forward button. It's going to skip all dialogue until a new scene appears or until we have to make a decision. That's right. It took just over a minute of fast forwarding before we got to play the game. That was the first 15 minutes of my original playthrough. Our first decision will be deciding what club to attend, and just as we originally did in the last playthrough, we'll join the student council. Next, we'll attend the math or gym class. We are purposely staying away from the music class throughout this playthrough, and this will matter later down the road. In the last playthrough we tried to become the treasurer, but the role of vice president was thrust upon us, and this time we are going to choose the vice president role outright. At the sports festival we will join the cheerleaders which Sakuya commands. Ryota will have to find a 3-legged race partner by himself. Later, Sakuya and Okasan get into a fight mainly because Okasan is a spaz. We get to decide to choose between Okasan and Sakuya, and of course, we side with Sakuya. A few days later in gym class, Sakuya and his brother get into an argument as to who can swim faster. We choose Sakuya, and they have their race, and in the end, Yuuya wins by a hair. Back at the student council's office, we get that scene in which we force Sakuya to help us clean up. We meet Azumi as we did before, but this time getting job is not on the menu. This means Ryota would arrive at the cafe and get the job instead of us, just like we had the option to give him in the last playthrough. At the festival, we choose to go with Sakuya instead of Ryota. Now I believe this is where Ryota originally opens up to us, saying how his mom is sick. But in this reality, the poor guy has to go it alone. Sakuya actually gets into the festival's spirit. Is he opening up to us? After a math class in the second term, we found out that our teacher, Kazaki, is known nationwide for his intellect. However, Sakuya tells us that the doctor at our school is far more well known for his accomplishments. At the school's maid cafe, we asked Sakuya to check out a haunted house rather than helping Ryota with all the customers like we did last time. Sakuya does end up enjoying the haunted house, even though he kind of freaks out a couple times. After school one day, we hear music coming from the music room. We go to investigate, and there we find Sakuya. We find out about Sakuya's love for music, and he asks us what our favorite thing is. And apparently udon is that thing. At the end of the term, we find out that we are top of the class. This frustrates Sakuya beyond belief. Apparently all that math paid off. Sakuya invites us over to his house for a Christmas party. We're told that his family holds a huge party once a month because they are not peasants. At this point, Okasan crashes the party and is enraged that there is no pudding. Because the guy has brain damage. In the third term, we buy Sakuya beans to show how much he means to us. Again, I want to remind everyone how Ryota is going through some tough times, but the protagonist has pretty much not talked to his best buddy since the start of the game. She's just too busy trying to land a sugar daddy. One night we find Sakuya stumbling around trying to find out where we live. Sakuya begins talking about how he's supposed to become the head of his family one day. This is something he does not want. He has a great love for music. He goes on to explain how his father looks down upon that. As a child, he tried to play instruments whenever he could, but his father would always take them away from him and throw them out. We ask him what he truly wants to do, and Sakuya decides to be true to himself. As he heads off to confront his father, Sakuya turns to tell us that he will return one day. And that's the end of Sakuya's path. Kind of. The guy actually has two. That brings us to the second path that we're talking about today, and that is Sakuya's true ending. It's very simple. We're going to do everything we did last time, except we're going to be attending music class instead of math class. Our charisma will be through the roof. After doing the entire playthrough but going to the music class, Sakuya once again tells us how he is determined to follow his own path, and after seeing your love of the musical arts, he sets out to confront his father. But this time, the game actually shows us how he returns for you. You and Sakuya head off to his concert. The protagonist suggests Sakuya contact his brother Yuuya, but he dismisses the idea. We now know a little bit more about Sakuya. He's still a spoiled rich kid, but it's not the life he wanted to lead in the first place. And with your help, that has all changed. But there is still something from this path left unanswered. Why was Sakuya and Yuuya fighting? And what was Yuuya's weird message all about? For our third path, we will find out more about Yuuya. In this path, we don't join the council. Instead, we help out the doc and Yuuya at the infirmary. Yuuya explains that the doctor doesn't like people touching his desk, yet as Yuuya leaves, we see the desk has clearly recently been tampered with. During the sports festival, we head to the first aid tent to help out. Forget you cheerleaders. Here we find the doctor relaxing under a tree as he creepily gazes at the students. Yuuya tells us it's just fine. On the way to the infirmary, Ryota stops us in the hall. He explains that there are rumors that kids are going missing. He goes as far to suggest that the birds end up being fed to other students in the cafeteria. He also believes that the doctor is heavily involved. Of course, surely this is just a weird rumor, and not a single part of this can be real, right? Upon arriving at the infirmary, we find the doctor and Yuuya in an argument. Yuuya is being accused of searching through the doctor's desk. Yuuya denies this, saying he was with the protagonist the entire time. For whatever reason, we decide to cover for him. Once we leave, the protagonist asks him what's up, but Yuuya rushes off. During the break, you visit the infirmary and ask the doctor if he needs help cleaning up. The doctor says he has experiments to do during the summer, so there's no need. You are then given the option to peace out or ask about the missing students. Because you are not a dumbass, you decide to run far, far away. Like in the previous playthrough, you do not get a job. Instead, you meet Yuuya in the park. You know, the park where Ryota tells you his devastating news. Just another reminder that in every other playthrough, that poor kid is alone and sad. During the festival time, you again try to get some more information out of Yuuya, but he just leaves. A full month later, you confront Yuuya to ask him what the hell's going on. he very creepily says he can't say because he might be chopped up and placed into a freezer. You don't find this very funny, and he wasn't joking. He runs off. Days later, you enter the classroom and find feathers everywhere. Apparently it's molting season. Everyone cleans up and you notice the teacher smells funny, like bleach. Any connection to the doctor and Yuuya's weird activities? Who knows? Not us, that's for sure. At the maid cafe shindig, we don't dress up as a maid, nor do we go to a haunted house. Instead, we are treated outside by butler servant Yuuya for whatever the hell those guys are doing. We again confront Yuuya. This time, he is having a serious chat with the janitor. Probably not about hiding corpses, right? Yeah, probs for that though. Probably hiding corpses. Shocker, Yuuya runs away. We catch up to him and do the regular, hey, WTF mate thing. And he very rationally tells us to be careful, cause you know, we might get murdered. Normal shit. He then talks about the missing kids and thinks he is next. Whoa, it's bean time! Yuuya is given a bean, and he runs away. We come across Yuuya on the street. He runs off, and we hear gunshots. Back at the park, we ask again for the millionth time, hey buddy, what the flying fuck? He talks about two factions, the Hawks and the Doves. Doves want to live side by side with humans, while Hawks want to off them. Turns out, this school is an experimental area owned by the Hawks, and the Doctor is part of it. Yuuya was sent in as a Dove spy. Yuuya says he once again needs to run, and that he worries that the time spent together may have put heat on Yu. They're given the choice to run away with him, and the protagonist takes it. So okay, now we understand Yuuya's weird-ass message to Sakuya in the last path. He was on the run and unable to really explain anything to his brother. Of course, that still leaves questions about this whole hawk-dove stuff and crazy experiments. Though I'm going to put that on the back burner. For our fourth path today, we will look at another interesting alternate reality. Remember Izami and Blaster? True love. Unless you talk about kicking his ass instead. Going down this path has Izami beating the crap out of the poor guy. Then on the street you are assaulted by that gang again. Izami jumps in once more and you beat them all down. You then decide to create a new biker gang. And that is how the story ends. No joke. Okay, that's all the time I have today. I hope you enjoyed seeing what other options are available in Hatoful Boyfriend. I want to say thanks for watching, and if you did enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. Carve it into your soul, kid?